Dino,
Yeah,
welcome
hello.
back.
Good to be back. And Grace, we're getting on into the second game in the evening, the game that you highlighted as the one to watch.
100% again. Frenemy versus Randy's. It's that top place versus that fourth place. Randy's will really be wanting to knock down Frenemy a little bit. They've been on an absolute tear.
Hmm.
And yeah, Randy's really want to try and contest that now. Again, if you are Frenemy, you want to maybe maintaining your top spot as well. They have come into this just looking so strong, so strong. And rightly so. I think the predictions are starting to very much go in their favor with those fan predictions, and even I think Jess's predictions also have been starting to lean towards Frenemy as well. For good reason. They have really shown up so far and been a very strong and solid roster. And at the same time, Randy's, this is a death stack, Dino, in my opinion, and I feel like we're not quite seeing their full power yet. And I want to see that. I want to see that full power. They have so much potential, so much capability. I know some of those players have absolute just godlike powers if they just tap into it a little bit more. So this is going to be an interesting one again. It will be, will Randy's start to step up a little bit more, or are Frenemy just going to get another dub in the bag?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, looking at the games that Randy's have played, they've gone up against Lost Souls Esports ladies, who are currently sitting in last place up in week one, and then they were on the receiving end of the Delta Project Revenge Tour in week two. And then last week they played up against Six Nation, who, they played a good game, but they didn't have their full five, as we spoke about last week. AJ had just left the team. They're sort of getting things to work together. So I feel
Mm.
this week is going to be a big test for them and a big opportunity for them to show quite what they're capable of offering. They're going up against the top team in the league.
Hmm.
They've had a few weeks to work together, build that momentum, and this is their opportunity to really come out, put up a strong performance, and test Frenemy and try and get the win and really shake up the standings.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's this is the kind of reason why I was like, this is kind of the one to watch, because I think this is really going to just start really setting in stone how this season's going to go. Of course, we are at that halfway mark, so um, I think a lot can happen this week, and a lot can happen next week as well. And this could be an upset, or alternatively, it could just be another dominating victory for Frenemy as well. I believe all players are actually in the lobby, so I think we're gonna get stuck in really quickly. But let's have a look at some map manage, shall we?
Boy,
See
shall,
where we're gonna go.
as we've got quickly going through them, Cafe Villa, Bank, Oregon, Clubhouse, and Chalet are gone, which means
Yes.
Coastline. Ooh, I think these are the wrong bands. We are actually going to be going to Clubhouse. That
No.
was the bands from the first game.
I was so
I know.
excited.
I was excited for a bit more Coastline, but instead, Grace, we're gonna have to put up with your plowman sandwich of a map.
I can't even be happy about it. I can't even be happy about the Plowmans. I don't even be happy about the Plowmans right now. Those bands are gonna start coming through. I'm so sad. That was
A
such a.
surprise Flores band isn't even enough to get you happy again.
It's not. It's really not. The Flores is gonna be taken off. That's a utility. I'm too sad. You're gonna have to take this over, Dino. I can't.
Oh yeah, as you're saying, Flora's going. Bit of a surprise. A strong operator, not one that you see get banned out too often. And then we're going to have the Hibana getting off the table next. A very classic ban, but it is going to leave both Thatcher and Maverick up on the board, which is going to make getting that CCTV wall really quite easy for the attackers. Mirror, of course, another classic to be banned out, as she just changes up how the sites are played and is really impactful basically everywhere. And Frenemy, I picked that ban awfully fast. That's going to be Vault. So, Grace, we're in for a very, very weird game of Clubhouse, one that we've probably not seen in a while, because we have Thatcher, Maverick, and Kaid all left up on the board here.
Yes, and that again can be kind of exciting. I mean, it's been a very, very long time since I got graced with a classic Thatcher and Hard Breach push. So I am hoping they're going to take advantage of the fact that Thatcher's on the board, because again, those top floor sites especially, very by the book, very jobs are good, and all you have to do is just get those main breach walls open, and it just gives you so much more flexibility for that collapse to come trickling through. Thus far, we're seeing the Thatcher and the Maverick and the Ace, so that's a lot of hard breach. There we go. The Mav is indeed being 6-picked onto the Lion. Ooh, spicy with it. Oh wait, no. Okay, I'm getting baited by Maggie at this point. I'm getting so baited.
I like the Maverick being brought as well, because without the Hibana, getting the hatches, particularly on this site, is going to be really difficult, because that kitchen hatch impact tricking against an Ace is the easiest thing in the world. It's the easiest hard breacher to impact trick against, which means that you're going to be very limited on what you can open. You can invest one Ace charge on dirt, use a little bit of Maverick on dirt, or you can Maverick dirt in its entirety, and then you can get the bar hatch. So it gives you that little bit of ability to be a bit more flexible with it, whereas if you're just bringing the one hard breacher and the Ace, you're very restricted, particularly when Kaid is on the board and he's going to be electrocuring those hatches.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, completely agree with that. And I think that this is definitely going to be an interesting game of Clubhouse, because it's kind of going to go a little bit old school in some regards. Again, in terms of how that breaching game is really going to go. But yeah, I think again, a lot of it's a good supportive attack roster, to be honest. And actually, we're seeing a soft blue. I'm not sure if that's just a late one which they didn't quite get to. But at the moment, it could be a little bit of an easy hatch drop, to be honest.
Yeah, should be seeing Maggie come through quite quickly and get that hatch open on up, or even try batten with that secondary shotgun to do it herself. And that's a big oversight, particularly when we see FRENEMY still has 2 reinforcements in pocket. And we do have Deb roaming around inside of Garage. Could play spoiler later on in the round, as if RANDYS don't go to check this out. And yet, here we are. We're going to see the Maverick open up that hatch. Nice and easy. Minute 50 still left in the round, so that's a very good job on the hard breach coming through there from RANDYS.
Yeah, that's a really nice little C4 to start this game underway. We do love to see a nice C4 kill in the best of times, let alone it's the opening pick for this absolutely incredible matchup of FRENEMY versus RANDYS. Who's going to pick up that diffuser nice and safely, but I think she is slightly cautious, as there might be people lurking around that she might need to deal with first. I will say that this feels actually a little bit slow considering the utility that they have.
Yeah, I mean, that was just an absolutely filthy C4 to start us off, though, because the Melusi Banshee at the top of the stairs, it activates when you're on that soft platform. Jess just playing the audio game, here's that Melusi Banshee open up, just detonates the C4 as Deb on the flank. Could do a lot of damage here, trying to get the kill onto one, is able to do so, isn't able to follow up on the second, as it already dropped on down. All 3 remaining attackers are on the ground floor and making a push onto the objective. We see one player close with the shotgun, as Foxtail is going to get one onto Lua. Tribatten trades back onto Jess, so it's a 2 versus 4 with Foxtail on incredibly low HP. Tribatten could be getting flanked any second now by Deb. The angle from up above opened by that C4 is going to secure the kill, as it was Sanjaya with that shotgun to get the other remaining player on the attack.
Yeah, and I think, again, pretty strong start, to be honest, going through from FRENEMY. Again, considering, one, it's an even playing field, but when you've still got that old school utility where everyone knows exactly how that utility goes, I feel like that should have been a bit more down to the knuckle, if that makes sense. So that was, again, just a very strong defense, and as we say, a very strong opening pick as well, coming through there with the C4. Seeing a bit of a 6 pick onto the Frost, which is a little bit spicy. I'm kind of here for that, to be honest. Again, we're going to see a very standard setup here. This is so by the book. We've got the castle and gym and bedroom, of course you do. But the interesting adaptation of the frost mats. I want to see how these frost mats are going, actually, because we've seen one on CCTV window, which is quite interesting, because again, they presumably will have some kind of second dimension to attack there. Obviously, you can send some people spire walls, some people start clearing it that side. I'm wondering where these other ones are going to go. Presumably we will see them kind of in gym window, maybe bedroom window as well. Or if there's going to be a little bit more creativity where maybe they put them, you know, if they have that rotate between bathroom and spa wall, maybe we'll see one there just to catch people off guard if they get a bit flustered or they do make their way into the building.
Well, that's 2 down. Gonna go on the connect on it? Yeah, it is. Okay, so relatively standard. Just whenever you jump in, you're going to have to deal with looking down at the ground or wherever the defenders are playing. So it makes things a bit difficult for the attackers. But nothing that I don't think Randy's should be unable to deal with. We are going to see a hard hold over inside of Cash. They did leave one of those walls at the top of red stairs unreinforced. As just the very classic Castle Kaid setup over towards Jacuzzi to make things difficult for Randy's to get on in.
Oh, show. I mean, this is interesting too. They're full kind of garage clear. By foot as well. You're not just droning out. You're actually just going to fully take it yourself, which is quite interesting. Again, I love the fact that they're bringing in the lion as well, though. I think that's going to be really beneficial, especially when attacking from this side. This makes a lot of sense because, you know, with the external wall of the spa wall, no one can really come up on you. But if you're going to start pushing towards that cache area, you do have the lion drone. That's going to make your job so much easier. Hitting them down and picking them off one by one.
Now, Fragnate's going out by Kurligan, trying to find something. Isn't going to be the case, as Dev getting tagged up on a bit of a rotate. See, they haven't invested in castle barricades over here, which means that once the players from FRENEMY get caught in a corner, they are trapped, and that is exactly what's gone on here. The Jaeger going for the risky peek is actually going to be able to get away and cross on over. Potentially even rotate back into Cash itself. We are going to see the Wamai playing at the top of red stairs with a flank coming through from Kurligan is going to get the opening kill in this round. Jaeger sitting close to that hole. That rotation could play spoiler in a second, but Maggie elsewhere has been able to get the kill onto Marie. As now Deb swinging on around, an absolute blinder of a headshot onto Tribat, and as Lua as well has lost a lot of HP as there's a massive push going on to the actual objective itself. Jess and Foxtail come together to be able to stop that in its tracks. But now we are going to find ourselves effectively in a 2 versus 2. Amy Lee actually inside of bathroom. And if these last 2 players don't know this or are unaware of her position, this could be the round-winning play right here. Foxtail has no idea, but they get out just in time. Amy Lee. Oh, this is so tense. The jump is going to make a bit of noise. Might be aware, but no. Still nothing, Grace.
Yeah, that's a little bit risky, but they're going to be aware at least of Kurligan's position there. And there we go, Amy Lee on the sneak. Foxtail falling also along with Jess. That was a little bit, had me on the edge of my seat, to be honest. That, you know, positioning in the bathroom and no one being aware. A little bit of a spooky one. I think they probably became a bit too tunnel vision there about what was happening around the cache area. They were not minding their P's and Q's, Dino.
Exactly that. I mean, I got a bit confused as to who was still left alive, where I thought that Amy Lee initially was over towards that cache side as well, and that they were both going to come pushing on through that single door of flank into the logistics. The fact that that ace was just sitting inside a bathroom with no one aware, there was so much potential in that play, but it just came together with a beautiful peek coming through from the, I believe it was the Yana inside of Connector.
Absolutely. They're choosing to go to a different site though, and I think that's quite nice to see as well, when people don't think, okay, we'll go back to the next one. It's like, no, let's just move on, keep moving through the rotation, keep going, keep going, keep going. And again, it gives you a little bit more time. This is why I really pro when people do this. It gives you a little bit more time to actually think about what went wrong. Maybe IGL brain starts whirring in the background. And yeah, it means that they can't adapt as easily to the brain. But you have that time to adapt, so I like to pro when teams just go through the rotation like this.
5 seconds to insertion.
Yeah,
and again,
you know
I
what
think,
doesn't work, so why try it again?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I think this is a very nice defensive setup. You've got the Jaeger and the Wamai, so of course you can layer that together. The easiest site to do this now since it changes, have the Wamai disc at the doorway and then a Jaeger on the rafters, R2 as well, R2, R3 area. So there's no overlap and you're nice and snug and safe. Most enjoyable. We're banging, get a little bit little bit bullshit, to be honest, you know, and a little bit of a health's gonna go because of it.
Yeah, Foxtail playing by the bikes. Personally, I always hate playing this position because I always you never feel secure, but if you can play it well, it's a really powerful spot to hold. Playing this lower garage, you can deny so much from what the attackers want to do, make it difficult for them to be able to push on in. And when you've got someone like Deb playing in lounge next to you for support, it is going to make things just that little bit easier. As we are starting to see the EMPs get used, and Deb are going to get the lead off kill. Maggie going down. No EE1Ds were used, and no EE1Ds can be used in this round. As Tribatten unable to hit the headshot onto Jess, who's standing at the top of rafters and exposed for just a second from that CCTV window.
Absolutely. It's kind of a little bit of a standstill, considering that getting bullshit with it there. Foxtail caught off guard though. There's not really a lot of places she can go, and Kerrigan is going to take her down and start making their approach into the garage. Very, very aggressive plays actually in order to make this choice. You have to be though, you really have to be. You have to apply that pressure.
Yeah, you have to be the driving force on this attack. We are going to see Sunjet get a kill onto Amy Lee as Lua gets the kill onto Jess. Deb as well is going to finish off Lua, meaning that maybe Echo's position will be safe for just a little bit longer. And yet, that's going to be the case. Sunjet is going to get that kill onto Kerligan, and now it is just Tribatten and Jackal left alone. 1 versus 2. Diffuser is down inside a garage, but they're going to be aware that there was one player roaming around inside a basement. If you can recover that diffuser and start pressing onto the site quickly, then you get in an isolated 1 versus 1. But for the sake of caution, the drones come out. That's going to give Echo the chance to relocate and make this into a much more difficult situation for Tribatten to deal with.
Absolutely, and again, it's yeah, I was going to say, certainly it's the moment where you get a little bit spooked and you're trying to check every single angle you possibly can. But yeah, we're going to probably see this pinch come through now, and there we go. Sunja getting that final pick on Tribatten. Really beautiful shot there.
Yeah, the red ping's coming through, and just a nice shot by the Echo. And I just like having Echo on the board. It just brings me inner peace. But yeah, just a stronghold from FRENEMY, all focused around that garage area, and RANDYS just couldn't deal with it.
Well, to be fair, I think they were doing the right things about, you know, again, you do have to apply a little bit of aggression to that garage area. Sometimes you see people, they apply so much focus to getting that main wall open that they kind of forget about garage, and it becomes really awkward because it's like, okay, we have the wall open, but we can't actually push into it. So of course, yeah, I did like to see the aggression from RANDYS trying to push into that part of the map, try and get that control nice and swiftly. It just, again, I think some of the timing can get a little bit rocky in these rounds thus far on both sides, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. But we are going to see FRENEMY go back downstairs. And this is one that they won relatively comfortably, but they were able to get that cheeky C4 to start things off and get one of the hard breaches off the board very early on. We are only seeing the one hard breach to come through this time around, as Tribatten is actually going to be picking up that Monty trace.
Yeah, and that's a little bit spicy, because again, if you get that dirt tunnel open, that's probably where that push is going to go with the Monty, realistically.
5 seconds left before insertion.
Nice little kind of shuffle through the dirt as you're pushing that, and again, even if they're sending utility, you can almost like bait it out in a way, and we're not seeing any kind of smoke utility to hold that tunnel, and even if they did want to hold it with the shotties, you can't really shotgun a shield, can you? And well, Lua, what are we going to do with you, Lua? What are we going to do with you? They're getting the opening pick onto her teammate for this round, so we're not going to see any Monty action just yet, unless that was because of the skin, maybe, but...
I don't know. Either way, I'm about it. The less Monty I see in my games, the happier I am.
I see how it is.
You know, we all have our preferences, as that is going to be dirt opened up, no one pushing down it though. The 8 Selmas are being used, but doesn't get the hatch directly. The second one going to come on out and doesn't want to detonate. I don't think there's enough space for it to do so. And there's Foxtail with that electric claw. coming through late is going to deny that, but the C4 is going to destroy the electrical. If there was one more Ace Selma in pocket, that would be a big mistake, but there isn't, so it's not, so it's fine.
Yeah, those hatches are nice and secure, and again, we're going to see a push down there. We're going to see that main stairs push come through again, and this might get a little bit uncomfortable, I'd say, for RANDYS, because again, they have to bring that aggression, and well, there we go. Maggie is going to fall to Deb. So 3 versus 5 when you've got to be aggressive, it's not ideal, is it, Dino?
Yeah, having to be the aggressor when you're a man down, you just can't go for those trades. You can't be as, forceful with it as you want to be. You have to kind of play off of what's going on around you to try and make sure that you yourself don't get pinched and put in a negative situation. When you still have Dev potentially coming through late on the roam, just ruin everything that you have going on, particularly around that main stairs area. It's going to be incredibly difficult for RANDYS to have success here, but Kerligan going to get the kill onto Jess. The EMP starts to come on out, potentially kick-starting what's coming next, but Marie is going to be there to get next kill. Foxtail with one more, and now it's just Amy Lee is able to get that kill onto Marie, but it's now a 1 versus 3 with Deb on the flank, but it doesn't even matter. Foxtail inside of blue with that AUG is able to hit the shots.
Absolutely, and this is a strong defense coming through from FRENEMY, to be honest. And again, they're getting these really impactful picks. Every opening pick, it seems to be super impactful. They're very lucky with it, to be honest. I will say as well that it's going to be interesting now, though, because they are going to go back to gym bedroom, and this is obviously last time we saw this. This was where I believe it was Amy Lee managed to just sneak her way into the bathroom pretty much undetected. And this was the site that RANDYS have won thus far. So again, I want to see what adaptations FRENEMY are going to bring to the table this time. We're not seeing the Frost be brought out, Dino.
Yeah, and I'm all right with that. The Frost offered very minimal additions to the lineup. I think it obviously there's a lot that the Frost could have done in the round. If you get 2 people trapped in one of those Frost mats, then absolutely brilliant. You've single-handedly won the round for your team, but the chances of that happening are very rare. A one and done kind of appearance from the Frost, particularly on a map like Clubhouse, I'd expect it. So yeah, solid choice to switch it up.
Absolutely. I mean, it's an interesting one because I don't know. Every single time I look at Clubhouse from a casting point of view, it's really difficult for me to not go through the motions in my head of what I would do to attack it. Or defend it even, and I feel like there's a lot of the time, especially within Project Athena, to be honest, there's so many times where I'm like, you can really see the thinking that's kind of gone into where some of these positionings are, but I do think that shield at the top of main is a little bit risky biscuits.
Yeah, I mean, Foxtail's gone for a pre-placed C4 inside of lounge, anticipating that someone's going to stand behind the server stack, but I think Maggie's just gone downstairs and taken it out, so that's not going to be impactful. It was thrown up. We see Foxtail doesn't have a C4 in hand anymore, so there was potential there, but that's just such a far-off play to try and go for. You have to be playing against a team that isn't going to just clear parts of the map out, and RANDYS is not that kind of team.
But this is where it's dangerous as well, because Foxtail stood right on the main stairs behind that shield, and if someone shoots that out as that spell wall gets breached open and stuff, like, it's gonna push her back down the stairs. So if they take the opportunity to suddenly rush into Jim, it's a little bit risky biscuit. Sunja, however, getting the pick onto Maggie. Sunja absolutely on fire, to be honest. Again, a very, very strong confident player. We do see her absolutely show up in some of these game nights, and it's really pleasant to watch.
Absolutely, as Tri-Baton, didn't get to play in the last round, so is making the most of it here. Gets the kill onto Deb, and that's been one of those key roamers that's really been just ruining RANDYS' day so far. So getting her off the board nice and early is good, and Amy Lee following up with a kill onto Jess. RANDYS now have the man advantage, and Foxtail scrambling to try and recover some of this ground. You're getting caught out on an island in the middle as Amy Lee just walks on up, gets the second kill. Marie is there to take her down, but now is being pressured. The C4 is going to come on out, but isn't going to find anything. There's Marie with the shotgun up close, needs to try and deny this plant, but attempting to swing on round. There's going to be someone there holding it. Doesn't even matter. The shotgun onto Lua is successful, and now Marie just needs to watch out for the window, but Tribatten is there to get the kill. And now it is just the Mozzie playing on main stairs to try and deny this plant coming through. Tribatten is going to go for it. The holes have been opened up in the floor, but just can't hold it. Curligan's not in the right position. Getting off the sprint, but no, Curligan hits the shot. And Randy's able to win the round. A clutch moment coming through there for the Iana.
Goodness gracious me. That was so close on both sides. Goodness gracious. Really nice plant denial coming through from FRENEMY there, though. Really, really, really good. Making the plays where it needed to be. And I just really appreciate a shotgun kill as well. It always makes me laugh. Yeah, really good plays on both sides there as well. Ultimately, Kerrigan managing to win that for her team in the 1v1 situation.
I mean, but we did see 2 plant attempts coming through from Randy's.
We did.
At what? Like, there was no cover there. There was no one standing on the window to deny the swing from the door on either attempt. And, you know, that round could have been over much easier for the side of Randy's. They could have had a much more dominant closeout to it. But things got a little, as you say, risky biscuits for them at the end, and it was up to Curligan to dig them out of that situation. She was able to do so successfully.
Yeah. This will be an interesting thing. They're going back to CCTV cash now. Gone full wave through the rotation again. How much are they going to invest around this garage area now? And again, in terms of positioning, are they going to play safer this time instead of being kind of around the bikes, things like that? Are they going to just stick to rafters? Only time can tell. Only time can tell. I mean, as well, if I was Randy's at this point, I'd probably try and take a completely different approach just to keep them on their toes a little bit. I'd probably try and just go, okay, we're just going to push from like your bedroom and go for a cash plant. It's clunky, but sometimes just giving people the old razzle-dazzle works.
Well, it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. We are seeing almost everyone from the side of Randy spawn over at the warehouse and just going to be going for the setup. Maggie, nice and early on, going to be opening up this little walk into the bottom of garage. Give them a good access, and this is really good time to be doing this. Some teams it can take them, you know, a minute and a half just to get these small holes opened up. I think it is so powerful, but Tribatten with the opening kill, taking down Jess. That's the Wamai gone from the top of rafters in the first 45 seconds, Grace.
And that is a significant kill as well, because that is a very strong positioning to be holding, and that's all left down to Foxtail to hold this by herself. She does have a C4 as well, but again, realistically, those C4s, those all sacred C4s, especially on this site, you want to be saving it if they do get the camera. You can't give away this. It's a tricky situation. You can't give away positioning, but C4 would be useful. It's so tricky.
As Lua's gonna get a kill elsewhere, taking down Sunja, as Deb is again on that roam and successfully is gonna get 1 kill back. Foxtail as well takes down Maggie, and Tribatten is able to get 1 more, and Deb just living on these stairs and on these flanks is able to get yet another kill. Gerligan having a couple of attempts to take down that ADS before doing so successfully, and they're going to have to get through these Aruni gates just to be able to get on into the objective, and that's going to slow them down quite a lot. That information coming through from the Iana is going to have to be delayed. That's going to burn up a frag grenade as well. As C4 has been pre-placed downstairs, looks like Amy Lee might be able to go through and get it, and yeah, that's going to be the case. As we're now going to see a swing coming through top red. Marie hitting an outrageous shot to take down Amy Lee, and now it's just Curligan left alone. 1 versus 2. She won the 1 versus 1 last time. Is she going to be able to do it again? Pushing on in. Lots of shots coming back and forth. Free fires all around. It's going to be Deb just swinging. Free aiming at the head level. Able to secure that one out, and it's actually going to be FRENEMY finishing that half up 4-2.
4-2, which isn't bad at all for a clubhouse at all. Yeah, not bad
A clubhouse
at all,
with a lot of hard breach left.
Yeah, certainly indeed. This is where things are going to get very interesting though, Because again, when we reflect on these bans, what's left on the table, it's this idea of, will they take advantage of the Thatcher? It looks like they're not going to. It looks like they have their strat, they're sticking with it. And this is where I really am like, okay, this team is confident going into this attacking half. Because a lot of teams would probably use for Thatcher right now. Again, it's just such an easy... It's not just the walls, Dino. Like, it's not just for walls or the hatches or anything like that. It's the utility clear you can get if you especially if you aim them at really specific points. You know, even externally a lot of the time, you can clear so much utility with those EMPs, and it's you know, 9 times out of 10 you see teams take that advantage. When you don't, that is, you know, that is a team that if they know what they want to do, they've scrimmed what they want to do, and they're sticking with it. They're confident that it's going to work. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes leaving an operator like Thatcher, someone who's so commonly banned out but is really powerful up on the board, attacking teams then just go, oh yeah, we must bring that Thatcher now. We can get so much use. But then it disrupts what they've planned, what they've scrimmed, what they've practiced, because who the hell doesn't ban Thatcher on Clubhouse? And then that sort of throws off the balance of the attack. Some of the stronger attacks from RANDYS that we saw, they actually didn't have Thatcher in the lineup. So, you know, it potentially, that's just how it works, and FRENEMY are so comfortable without having that Thatcher that they just don't feel the need to bring him at all.
Yeah, true. You're going to see that classic Maverick dirt opening though. So already, you know, not even a minute gone and they're already getting this underway. They're already going to start applying pressure to dirt. Presumably they're going to be attacking the kitchen as well at the same time. There we are. There is that hatch being nicely dealt with. No retaliation though with the impact. I mean, one has gone. I am assuming that maybe one was used. Yeah, no Selma's left actually, so there was actually an impact trick there that did play off very, very well, but only half that hatch is now open. So Jess is going to have to skedaddle, make her way to that hatch and try and stay relatively safe. Again, there's about 2 C4s on the board. Not really anyone too close to her that could...
Yeah.
Well, there we are. I mean, he's going to peek it and get that kick there. Lou is going to follow up with a kick onto Deb Dino.
Reloading ammo.
Yeah, Curligan positioned all the way up on the top floor as well. If anyone's moving around inside that bar area, they could get caught off from an unexpected angle. But for the time being, last 3 remaining players from FRENEMY are all situated around the kitchen. Again, that hatch has not been opened. They do have a little bit of a line of sight, but it's not going to be enough. Well, they just can't get it open enough to go for a drop. Curligan has herself dropped on down, and Tribatten just through the open door is going to get that kill onto Marie. Foxtails can trade out the kill onto Curligan, but has lost a lot of HP in return, making this effectively, and now in actuality, a 1 versus 4. As Tribatten not able to hit the shot, a lot of whiffs and un-ADSing at just the wrong moment, and the Claymore is going to be able to get that kill. It is now the ace left alone at 1 versus 3, incredibly low health, and all of the defenders know precisely where she is. Maggie with that C4 was thinking about busting open the wall like the Kool-Aid man and going for a rotation, but it's not going to be the case. Sunja now with this Aruna gate in front of her to deal with, isn't even going to have the opportunity to do that, as Lua just prone on the ground, able to get that kill, cure it out for end.
Absolutely. Again, a very strong defense now going into their defensive half for RANDYS. Of course, it is a little bit defender-sided, but again, when you think about the utility that's left on both sides, I think it is pretty even. It's just FRENEMY aren't taking that utility. It looks like they're going to probably stick with it. I don't really see them sixing, to be honest. Again, I really do think they're confident with the way they want to approach everything. And this is going to be the interesting thing as well, because of the amount of aggression we saw from RANDYS on that garage. They obviously know very, very much that is a pivotal point to hold. So I'm curious to see how they're going to be defending that. We're seeing the Jaeger and the Wamai, so I'm assuming that combination will work again. But I want to know who is going to be holding it and where.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many
It's in the
bombs
Oryx
as
as well,
can.
Yeah, I was looking at those operator picks. Like, we have an Oryx, a Cav, and an Alibi, which is like the trinity of operators that you just don't really see in comp matches, much to your dismay most of the time. But you know, that is, I get the point of the Oryx, because you can roam around downstairs and then potentially jump up that either the gym hatch or the hatch inside a construction and go for a late support on site. But it's very risky and difficult to go for, difficult to pull off. It's easy to get caught on those flanks and just separated from the main defensive side of the site.
I was going to see if there was going to be any kind of crazy rotations around kind of the bedroom logistics area because of the Oryx, because of a double bailiff, but I haven't quite managed to spot anything like that. Double bailiff is an interesting concept, actually.
They're going to go for the open and the nade on through, but if they're in... There's not an ADS close by, but they didn't open up the hole at the right angle to be able to just bounce it off the roof and then get it itself. I mean, with the Kaid on the board, those electric balls could be put in some interesting places where the nades can't even get to them. So we'll have to see how FRENEMY choose to deal with that.
Absolutely. And it's again a one of those things where I'm kind of like, okay, they've actually gone to the full extension with this room as well. We're seeing Lua kind of in a lot safer positionings in this garage compared to what we saw with FRENEMY as well. I'm just curious where this push is going to come from for the attack. I mean, looks like they are going to try and just apply some garage pressure first. Foxtail is going to get the opening kick actually through the floor. I believe that was Dino, or was it?
No, I think she was just inside a stop and caught the rotation onto Lua. But then that's that Oryx gone, and that's the big thing about Oryx. He's gone. That is no extra utility provided to the team. Marie gonna lose a lot of health taking that fight onto Tri-Baton up on top of that 90 Rafters corner. Strong position to hold from the defenders, and now with Zofia on this small amount of health, gonna make things really difficult when it comes to clearing out positions like Garage. And this is a big difference that we saw between RANDYS and FRENEMY, as Foxtail's going to be able to get that kill onto Tri-Baton after Curligan had taken down Deb, is that this Garage take isn't as fast or as concise. We are going to see Foxtail go down, Maggie down inside of Oil Pit, able to hit those shots as we're now into a 3 versus 3, but Marie's on incredibly low health and Maggie's on the flank. This isn't being called out. She has no idea, and Maggie is going to double up in the round and make things even more difficult for FRENEMY.
Yeah, this is a solid and impactful roam coming through from Maggie, absolutely catching the ladies of FRENEMY off guard. I think Sundra's also aware though of a rotation potential run out. Yes, he is. There we go. Curligan is going to fall there. I respect it. I respect the bolshiness, Dino. I'm always here for that. Cynthia, however, is going to fall to Amy Lee, and that's all left down to Jess here on the Maverick in a 1 versus 2. That's not... Oh, there we go. Not really a lot she could do there. He is going to get caught off guard. And that is RANDYS actually winning their first defensive round.
Yeah. Oh, the second defensive round.
Second defensive round, sorry. Yeah, sorry.
And we're now up to a 4-4. And that's quite strange to me, because we've spoken about this. They've got so much hard destruction on the attacking side. Typically, when you look at that, when you've got this much hard destruction, you would say that, you know, the attack should win. You can open up, if you manage it right, all the hatches and like extra walls. If you bring that thermite as well, you know, a bit overkill, but if you bring the thermite, we're seeing the Thatcher get brought out now, finally, from FRENEMY. So it's a bit strange that the attacks of both teams are struggling quite so much, and we are going to see Maggie go on the train.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Again, though, I think sometimes when you see a Tachanka on the operational lineup, it is kind of like a weird smoke replacement at times. Again, there's a lot of places where you can probably be relatively safe and just kind of send out a lot of those fire grenades, which is going to be... I'm really curious to see what his setup's going to be for Maggie, to be honest. Again, you've got the shield, and you do have... the utility, it works as a kind of smoke 2.0. I I don't think that's too outrageous to
Attackers are
say.
moving out to locate a bomb and defuse it. Bomb
Not at
located
all.
by attackers.
But you have to know like the parkour trick shot angles for a tank to be really successful, because if you can, and I've seen some very nice lineups on Coastline, you can bounce them into deep positions where if you're to try and throw a smoke out, you're just going to get exposed and killed very, very quickly. So if you have, like, if you've spent 3 hours going through each site with a protractor and a compass and figuring out all the angles and how you can bounce everything off, then yeah, I think Shanka could work quite well. But it's far too situational, and you know the lineups are really, really specific. So I'd have to say that smoke is the better option even still. But Amy Lee apparently is just the best option right now, as Jess is going to go down trying to peek through that jacuzzi breach.
Yeah, and that's so much utility off the board because of that as well. You can see a bit of utility invested here just to clear the top of red. Murray is presumably going to get a bit aggressive with it. You don't really want to hesitate after using that utility. So again, shield top of red, really, really, really like that. Lua is going to take down Deb as well, and Lua's actually firmly plonked herself into CCTV now. It's a 5v3. You've got the Thunderbirds, the overheals. You've got the Chanka, you want 2 shields. It's looking pretty good for Randy.
Yeah, but Foxtail's been able to come up on the flank and get the one at the top of the main stairs, and Maggie has fallen as well. Louis is able to trade out Marie, so this is now a 2 versus, make that a 1 versus 3, as Sunja with the hip fire wasn't able to land the shots coming up from prone, forces you out of the ADS. So it's now Foxtail left alone. Was a 1 versus 3, was able to get the first kill. Now it's a 1 versus 2, doesn't check logistics. Lua's gonna get the kill, and Grace, Randy's, for the first time this game, are now in the lead.
Yes, indeed. And this is, again, the pressure's mounting for FRENEMY. And this will be the really interesting thing, because if Randy's take this, they have balanced themselves out with FRENEMY, and they've also taken down that number 1 position. FRENEMY will no longer be at number 1 on those standings for the Athena project. So that's certainly interesting. We're seeing the Warden and the Tachanka, which is very interesting. Again, I'm wondering if we're seeing a 6. Yep, there we go. The Warden is going to be 6'd out with a Cav.
Hey, if it works. I mean, if you're seeing the Jackal, they have 6'd out the Jackal a lot. So, you know, Cav is a direct counter to Jackal. If they're going to stick the castle this time around, or stick the Jackal this time around, then, you know, bringing that Cav can work. But this is a really small map. You, in my opinion, you don't even really need the Jackal. You just need to have those nomads down in the right position early on, and have the drones covering everything else. And yeah, so interesting operator selection for both sides.
Yeah, and I think it's a tricky. I was thinking like, oh, maybe, you know, there's no ADSs, there's no 1Y magnets, but at the same time, you've got so much kind of, you know, you've got the EMPs and things like that. So it's kind of like, is there any point in taking the ADSs or 1Ys? Certainly, if they are using them through floors and things like that to remove utility. At the same time, I think it would catch some of Marie's utility a little bit off guard. Which might benefit them again when it comes to that final collapse. We'll see how this goes. I mean, realistically, you know, the Mozzie as well, yes, it's counter intel, but I also think that is a pretty comfortable operator for Lua to be on at the same time. But only 1 C4 then when you have that kind of kitchen site. But at the same time, we do have the Tachanka. There's just a lot of stuff going on here, to be honest, you know? And it's really... I think I'm more curious to see how this is going to go.
Well, we are a minute on into the round, a minute on into finding out. The ping is going to come on through, as Curligan is going to be able to secure that kill onto Deb. Vigil not able to be spotted out on that drone, is just going to be able to secure that opening frag onto the Iana. So that's a lot of intel gone, and Deb, who had such a strong defensive half, has really yet to show up on these attacks. as we are starting to see FRENEMY take a bit more control. Tri-Batman's there and able to get that kill onto the ace. And now this is again a difficult round for FRENEMY, becoming more and more impossible by the second as a follow-up kill from Tri-Batman takes down Jess. And now FRENEMY looking down the wrong end of a 2 versus 5, and Foxtail with the opportunity to try and turn it around, misses the shot. Marie starting to walk on up, gets caught in the goo mine. She's going to have to take a moment to get that out of her foot. Foxtail gets the kill onto Curligan. But with a minute to go, Grace, this isn't looking good for FRENEMY.
It's not, and again, we just saw the Tachanka utility really working well. You can just send that fire, you know, towards wherever you want, and it's going to really hold those attackers. And now they have to pick up the diffuser as well, so it's even more pivotal to be sending out that defensive utility, really pushing them back and prevent them claiming that diffuser and taking the push further to the side. Lewis is going to take down Foxtail, so now it's all left down to Marie here with the Zofia. No utility really left bar a Claymore, so, and tiny bit of help as well. It's getting a little bit risky biscuits, but 1v4 when you've got tiny bit of health, perhaps this is the time for the tactical timeout.
Instead, she's going to try and go for it. Isn't able to get anything. Tri-Batman with the crouch peek. And that's going to be RANDYS now 1 round away from securing this one, Grace, and handing FRENEMY their first loss of the season.
Absolutely. And again, when you've been going on a momentum like that on the side of FRENEMY, when you've been having this momentum where you're like, we've won every single match, everyone knows we're #1 right now, and it's starting to fall away from you here a little bit, that is going to be so tilting. And this is where it's like, okay, we really need to kind of try something a little bit different, but it might be a bit too late for that. Yeah, rightly so. As you can see from their lineup, they're just not going to change anything at all. They're just going to try and stick to their guns with it. They're going to try and stick to what they've planned. That Tachanka's really working for RANDYS as well. Like, I can't get over that. Like, it has really been working. And again, the fact that they've got the Thunderbird over Tachanka is a little bit sweaty, because it's that pushback, but also that overheal, that overstim. It's a little bit naughty.
I mean, FRENEMY has taken part in the only overtime game so far this season. It was against Nemesis in week 2 on Oregon, and they were able to pull out that 8-6 victory. So, you know, we know that they can play well in these longer games when things start getting down to the wire, but they've not felt, you know, since the end of their defensive half, they've really just not been present. RANDYS have won 4 in a row, and FRENEMY just scrambling to try and get something back.
Yeah.
Attacker's objective is to locate a bomb and defuse it.
Again, it's just the little things, like there have been some really powerful kind of flanks and roams coming through from RANDYS.
Oh yeah.
Certainly, yeah. Maggie getting like a 2 kill on the roam a few rounds back, and it was just like, oh my goodness. And again, it's that idea of like people just weren't expecting it. Whereas when they were attacking, it was like people were looking down towards oil and things like that. So again, I don't know if it's just a little bit of flustering because maybe FRENEMY are like, oh gosh, like we have to keep winning. The pressure's on now. There's a lot they need to do. I like the fact that choosing to attack from logistics and bedroom here. They got that second dimension to the attack there. I think that's really beneficial.
Now we're going to see if they can be sort of capable of taking over this construction control and actually getting that single wall open and starting to push on through, as Amy Lee getting unnecessarily aggressive, going to open herself up to a free kill onto Marie. And that is going to make things a little bit easier for FRENEMY. Those electric claws are now stuck in position and going to make that push just a little bit easier for the attack, but they still need to get going with a bit of pace about them, otherwise things are going to start switching back the way of RANDYS as Lua gets the kill onto Jeff. A nice headshot keep coming on through as Foxtail manually holding the flank, watching it directly instead of having a drone in place, as we are going to see the Zofia get the kill onto Aruni. That's Curligan going down, and Maggie inside of Garage with that Tachanka can do a lot of damage if they're able to get that kill onto the player out on the rafters.
I think we're going to see some of that fire utility again being sent towards the breach. But Lua's going to run into herself after killing Sunja. And again, she's in this very strong position now because she's right next to the diffuser. The 3 players of FRENEMY have to push her, get to it. We are going to see the Jackal ping come through, though, so it's going to alert Foxtail here to Maggie's position. And oh, this could get very nasty very quickly.
Yeah, Lua's going to get that kill onto Dev. The diffuser is outside the breach, and that's going to be RANDYS winning the game. Quick kills coming in at the end for the last 2 remaining defenders, able to kill the 2 versus 3 at the death of it. And Grace, FRENEMY, the Titans so far in this league, have been knocked from their throne.
Yeah, indeed. It's this idea of, you know, wow, someone's really been winning every single week in a row. They are top of the league, and RANDYS have come in today. And again, I just want to stress out, like, there have been moments in the last few weeks where RANDYS have kind of been like, oh, this isn't your potential. Like, you can do better than this. I know you can do better than this. I know you can do better than this for sure. And tonight they've shown up and they've taken down that #1 spot. They have evened themselves out with FRENEMY now. They're both on the equal amount of wins each, I believe, as well.
Yeah.
So again, it's maintain. I think RANDYS are actually going to stay in the top 4 position because of that as well. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure they will.
Yeah.
And FRENEMY as well. I think, you know, they're still kind of in that positioning themselves, but it's going to get risky probably in the next week. Certainly next week is going to potentially see a lot of changes and a lot of things turning on their heads because of how that's just gone. And again, if you're RANDYS, you are absolutely on the moon right now because you've just taken down #1 spot. Again, after a little bit of rocky season, that is good. That is good for the confidence. That is good for the momentum for the rest of the season. And again, there were so many things that they were doing there where I think it just got to the point where they were like, let's just be creative with it and see what happens. And because they kind of, it's like throwing a spanner in the works. Like you just, oh, okay, fine, Tachanka. And okay, what are you going to deal? How are you going to deal with this fire now that we're sending towards you? You're not going to deal with it because we're sending fire. Like it's these little things where it's like, okay, yeah, that works. That works in that situation. And again, it's not like that smoke where it's like you kind of see it and it lands and there's that pause. It's just this instant like of like fire. And I really like. I just really liked Maggie on the Tachanka. Like it just worked. It just worked really well. And I think there were some really nice bits on both sides, to be honest. But I think ultimately that was maybe a little bit of a rocky match for FRENEMY. We're not going to have an interview, Dino.
No.
We're not going to have an interview from RANDYS. They just don't want to talk to us. What can we say? They just never want to speak to us. Maybe next week.
One day.
Maybe we can force them to come on and have an interview.
Maybe we can.
We should try it. We should just pin them down and be like, interview now.